Welcome to the roads we've traveled, episode 17. How's everyone doing today? Hope you guys are doing well, enjoying the weather, staying safe, and all that good stuff. My name is AJ Pelletier, and thank you again for checking out the show and subscribing and all that great stuff. I got a great guy today, a great guest, and a great musician, my friend from the scene, Mr. Sean ORCAdams. What is going on, Sean? How are you?
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. How's life during the pandemic for you?
It has its ups and downs. There's certainly things that could be better, but I know a lot of people have it worse. So I've actually, I mean, it kind of goes, like, I know it goes up and down. Like, I know some people have just been like really drained by this whole thing, and some people have been really inspired, and I'm somewhere in the middle. I have days of where, one day of one day of the other,
That's cool. Are you doing anything? Well, we'll get into your band later and everything, but I mean, like, are you doing anything else creative besides music?
I'm still working full time, so I don't have, I'm glad that I'm still working for practical reasons, obviously. But part of me is a little envious at the thought of having basically all the time in the world to work on music and everything. But I actually, this isn't really a creative pursuit, but I actually started learning German a few weeks ago.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome,
it's pretty fun so far. German seems to be a pretty important language for metal. Like these huge metal festivals are in Germany. A lot of big metal bands and publications and labels are out there. So I figure it'd be something. It activates a different side of my brain. So it's fun so far.
That's very cool. Are you hoping to play out there someday?
I mean,
once Americans are allowed to travel again,
Yeah, I mean, coordinating international shows is it would be great to do it. I just don't know how doable it actually. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, that'd be kind of cool, though. I'd like to see ORCumentary playing overseas in Germany. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
It would either go amazingly or spectacularly horrible. So.
Oh, man, that'd be great, though. I would love to see that live streamed or something on Facebook. That'd be fucking awesome. So, like, we know each other from the local music scene. I don't know if we've actually had like a full conversation together. I don't even know if we actually met like face to face really much or anything like that, but we've definitely seen each other at shows and stuff like that, and seeing you play was definitely different, and I enjoyed it a lot. I could tell you're a big fan of Lord of the Rings and orcs and stuff like that, and it comes out in your music, and it's very intriguing and very different, and I could appreciate it. It's very good, and I did check out your new single, which we'll talk about too. That was really good. The Time of the Orc Has Come was very good. I'll leave a link in the description below for people to check it out. Be sure to subscribe to him on YouTube and get the song wherever you guys get your music from. But yeah, tell me more about ORCumentary. How did you start that, and everything like that?
So I started taking piano lessons around age 7, and I took that until I was 18. And around the last year of piano lessons was when I was starting to think about writing my own music. And it wasn't anything great. It wasn't anything like, oh, I'm going to write something inspired by Tchaikovsky. No, it's like I was a big Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter fan, and I was just noodling around with dumb shit with those as inspirations. And ORCumentary is what stuck, really. It was the idea I had for it was kind of weird, I guess. Like at that point, I had already been like obsessed with Lord of the Rings for a few years, and I had just I actually started ORCumentary like right as I got into metal, and I wasn't even into any of the screaming stuff. So it was kind of weird. Like I just made like an orc voice, and I thought it was funny. And then I thought like, oh, what if I made songs in this voice? Like this would be so ridiculous.
Mm.
And it was stupid. It just kind of stuck somehow. And like some of the songs on the first ORCumentary album, like that, the first ORCumentary album is the culmination of about 4 years, maybe more like 3 years of writing and everything. And there's a lot of variations on that. Like you have a song like Orcs on Ice, which is almost like a piano ballad in a sense that kind of ebbs and flows. And then you have Orc in My Bathtub, which actually I think was the first ORCumentary song I ever wrote, and that's on the album as well. So it's just I think that probably answered your question on how that got started. It just,
that's so awesome though. I mean, like to be able to like do, I don't have it in me to do like writing like about my favorite pop culture icons or anything like that, because I'm like, when it comes to me with writing, I like writing about my life experiences and what I've had to go through and how I've had to overcome or maybe relate to other people. But I can't see myself writing about like Deadpool or Batman or anything like that, because it would just sound weird. But like but no, that's awesome, man, though. Like your music is very different, and it's like a heavy metal version of Weird Al to me, like, but all about orcs and everything, which is very cool. So
yeah, I guess, yeah. Thanks.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's funny you say. Yeah, it's kind of weird to be doing ORCumentary music still now, because now that I've been doing Virus of Ideals for a few years, and like tapping into that part of writing is also, I mean, it's very cathartic to write like more personal stuff, or just things, I guess, that are like more serious things. And it took me a while to figure out that voice, like like that lyrical voice for writing more serious things. But it's a completely different thing. But I don't know. Like I guess there are a lot of Lord of the Rings inspired bands, but I've never heard of a Marvel Comics inspired band. So I don't know. I suppose you could try to start one or something.
I mean, like the only thing that probably comes close to mind would probably be that episode of The Big Bang Theory when Raj and Howard had a pop band or whatever, and they were talking about like Thor and Indiana Jones in one song. But yeah, like, but that was dumb. But that was just dumb.
And whereas ORCumentary is the opposite of dumb. Apparently.
Yeah. Speaking of Virus of Ideals, which do you like prefer more? I mean, or do you like both equally? I mean, like, because it's like you said, it's very different. You got ORCumentary, and then you have Virus of Ideals. What is the music style difference between both bands, and do you have a personal preference to either or is it just equal?
So I definitely prefer Virus of Ideals over ORCumentary. Like Virus of Ideals is my dream band in many ways. Like I just really love like the European, like very melodic metal bands, like like Amorphous, Dark Tranquillity, all that. And so this is kind of so obviously ORCumentary's appeal is somewhat limited, and it's definitely a lot of fun to do, and I feel like I can really go nuts with the writing. But I guess Virus of Ideals is really just like me taking everything that I've been listening to for like the past, I don't know, like at that point maybe like 8. I think I started Virus of Ideals like 5 or 6 years ago. Like at that point, just like writing in that style is just it's very different. But I guess Virus of Ideals, I like that a lot more. It's people take it a lot more. The crowd reaction at a Virus of Ideals show is obviously very different than ORCumentary.
Yeah, I've seen you guys play on some videos online and stuff, and I was like, wow, these guys are really good. You know, you guys have a very very heavy style, but like melodic vocals and heavy vocals and stuff like that. I was like, wow. Like, and I remember when you guys were coming up too, because I was still within the Red, I think. And I don't know if we played a show at Cherry Street, or I was just at Cherry Street, and Virus of Ideals was playing that night. I was like, holy shit, like they're really good. Like, so no, I get it though. Like, ORCumentary is your fun project, and then Virus of Ideals is your passion, and that's awesome, man. Like, I can't do two projects anymore myself. So, but no, it's awesome, man. Do you guys like, besides ORCumentary, with Virus of Ideals, do you have any new music coming out for that, or are you just working on ORCumentary right now?
Um, so we're Virus is working on the album. I mean, we have been working on this album for so long, and we've had a lot of setbacks and lineup changes, and we're really trying to get back on track now. And we're doing everything we can to have this album fully recorded by the end of the year. Yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle, because obviously you have 5 different people. I mean, it's I'm the guy running the show per se. I write all the music. I guess I'm the band leader, you could say. So a lot of the stuff, falls on me to to kind of.
Keep the
But
ball
I mean, it's
rolling,
just.
and yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been a struggle really for all of us, because we all have different things going on in our lives, and especially with we were we were getting back on track with everything when COVID hit, and that's made things harder. But we're getting into a rhythm for recording, so it's just a matter of sticking to it. I'm really excited to get these songs out there, but I'm also really excited to start writing more new songs. I have a bunch of new demos, but I haven't really developed them because we still have this huge, like this wall in front of us, this album that we have to put out.
No, I hear you. I hear you. And like, I can understand the stress too. I mean, like, do you get stressed out a lot with this kind of stuff, or is it just like everything just, work and 2 projects and everything is that just stressful a lot? Or I'm sorry, it's like 7 o'clock at night right now. I've been up since 4 a.m. So like, my questions might be
Oh,
kind of like blah right now, but
oh no worries. No, I won't say anything.
to my
um,
listeners, I apologize, but I am getting to that point of the day where I'm like, okay, I'm looking forward to bed soon, but I wanted
yeah.
to do this interview first though, and wanted to catch up and talk to you. So, but yeah, no,
Um,
that's got to be stressful, man.
yeah, it's I like being the guy who makes a lot of the decisions in the band, or at least has a lot of the ideas for, like, I think that we should, for like promotion or for merch or for show ideas, like, I think it'd be a good idea to do this because X. But I mean, we always like discuss everything. But it's, I mean, there certainly is a lot of stress. Like we've gone through some members who were not good fits for the band, and that's added a lot of stress on top of the usual struggles of the band. Like where we're at right now, the lineup is good. We're I think that we're in a really good place if we can really just like go over the finish line and just really bang out these recordings. If and when we can do shows again, I think we'll be in a really good spot to really go far. This is something, I know the quality of the music is good and we all believe in it. And I mean, you've seen us live. You know that we're different from a lot of the bands in the New England scene and all that. It's just it seems like there's a lot of obstacles right now, but I know that we can overcome them.
Yeah. And once we get through all this COVID stuff, hopefully a lot of these venues will be able to stay open. But I mean, time will tell, especially since numbers aren't really going down right now, and businesses are really being affected right now by all this. But I mean, hopefully once all this stuff's over and you guys can play out again, hopefully things will get a little bit easier. But I mean, like, definitely right now, like, I don't blame you for, you know, working on the music, getting everything recorded, getting everything perfect for when the time comes to actually get out there and play again. You guys are pretty much on your A game and ready to go, and I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be awesome. You know, like, so like, you know, we don't really know each other that well, but I mean, like, where did you grow up? You originally from Connecticut, or?
Yeah, I grew up in Southington, so that's not too far from where I live now. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
20 minutes away.
Nice. Did you have a good childhood?
Um, I mean, for the most part, you know, like my parents have always been supportive of, you know, everything I did or everything I do, and you know, school. You know, I wasn't very popular in school.
You and me
You know, I
both.
didn't really have any. Yeah, didn't really, you know, have any friends or anything like that. So, I mean, you know, it had, you know, I think my home life was pretty good overall. Um, you know, once, you know, like I said, I wasn't really too big in school, but I know that I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for that, because I know that I gravitated more towards, I guess, like Lord of the Rings and metal. Like two of my biggest loves were because of my experiences in high school. As weird as that sounds, you know.
No, I hear you, man. I was kind of in the same boat myself too. I got picked on a lot. I wasn't very popular, and got into fights and stuff with like bullies and everything like that. And my parents and my home life weren't really that great, and my parents separated, so things at home weren't great. Things at school weren't great. I just listened to heavy music and depressing music to like get me through a lot of shit. And if it wasn't for that, I
Yeah,
wouldn't have gotten into music myself. So I totally get it, man. You know, I try not to think about all the negative stuff back in high school though, because I mean, like, and it sucks at the same time because like that's pretty much all you remember. I mean, there was some good, like I did have some friends in high school that I still talk to this day, but I can't think of like really any like positive memories from high school because it was just so bad. And then when I graduated, I was like the only happy person there to say like, yes, I'm finally getting the fuck out of this place.
well, I'm sure
uh,
I'm sure everybody else probably peaked in high school. It seems
yeah.
like you know, everyone who loved high school was all about it. You know, the stereotype at least is that they peaked in high school. So I mean,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, you know, you look around, and you know, like my 10-year reunion was a few years ago, but I didn't go because then the Red had a show that night at Cherry Street.
Yeah.
I even said that during the set too. I was like, "Oh, my 10-year reunion was tonight." I was like, "Fuck that! I'd rather play a show," and here I am. So, but, but yeah, no, I mean, like, you know, seeing a lot of my friends and you know people I weren't really close with back in high school and seeing them now, nothing bad or anything, but a lot of them, you know, have families and everything like that, which is good. A lot of others, like, didn't turn out so great, you know.
Yeah.
A couple passed away too, and it sucks, but um, you know, I'm glad I had the small circle of friends that I have and that I still talk to this day off and on. So, but I'm more happy now that I'm, you know, by myself and, you know, taking care of me, you know, because
Yeah.
I don't really care what anybody thinks about me. So, but
Well, yeah, you probably kept in touch with all the people that matter in
yeah,
high school. So, you know, why do the reunion if, you know, you
exactly.
don't really care to see any of them again, you know?
Exactly. Plus, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're renting this fancy ass hall. It's gonna be like $65 a plate," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good."
I can buy so many chalupas at Taco Bell for
Right?
$65.
Like, why don't we just go to a bar? You know what I mean? Like, just have it at a bar or something, and just like make it cheap and easy. No, we got to do the formal thing. Yeah, well, don't hold your breath. I won't be there. So, but yeah. So childhood was good. You had good supportive parents. That's great. High school wasn't, you know, all that great, but I mean, like, you're still here, and that's, you know, you got through and got into music and everything like that. Do you suffer from any sort of like depression or anxiety or anything like that?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I haven't been diagnosed, but I know that I have been. This is the thing is like, you know, like people are very quick to like self-diagnose themselves with things, and I suppose there is that. I don't want to say that stigma maybe of, you know, like, oh, you know, well, I was actually just made a post about it today about how just how mental health with men, how men aren't really supposed to, show emotion and like keep everything inside. And apparently the suicide rate, it's like 79% of suicides in America are from men.
It's it,
And
it's true. And I'll
um,
let you finish before I add in, but yeah, go ahead.
but I mean, I probably could be diagnosed with some kind of anxiety. It was really bad at one point. Like I feel like within the past like year or two, um, it's been it's been kind of bad. I mean, lately, ironically, like these past few months with COVID and everything, things have been pretty good. And part of that, I think, was music. Like I think with virus, that was something that gave me a lot of anxiety and made me really depressed because we just, I know that we have great music, but just things just kept happening, and that wasn't the only reason, but I think that like the reason I started doing ORCumentary again is because I needed to have something to work on. I needed something, because I hadn't released any music of any kind since the ORCumentary or the Virus of Ideals EP back in 2016. So
Oh wow.
that yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
um, so that helped give me something to work towards. I've been doing studio gigs for bands, and I think generally I've been better than I have been. But I suppose to some degree, I suppose I do have some anxiety and some depressing times here and there.
So you're probably like me then, like you get super depressed when you're not doing anything creative. Like when you're just
Yeah,
when you're just in autopilot mode and you're just going day by day and you're not doing anything for yourself, you just get like really, really bummed out.
yeah. I mean, that's something that people who aren't musicians don't really understand is that it's a need. It's not like oh, I'm scrapbooking because it's fun. It's like it's really a need to be able to make music in a lot of ways. And it's and um, I kind of within the past like year or so, like one I decided that I never really pursued music because I think taking lessons for so long, I just really wanted to do my own thing. Um, but I never thought that it was really feasible to make a living as a musician unless you were like a touring musician.
Yeah.
And it just really got to a point like last year where I just was like so unhappy with more than just that in my life, but it was also like I had accepted that I'm just going to have to do a day job and do music on the side, whatever. But I just hit a point where I wasn't content with that anymore.
Mm.
So that's when I started doing studio gigs for bands, and I'm not even at a point where I can even think about going part time. But it's something to shoot towards. It's extra, it's extra money I'm making from music. I have a nice new fancy guitar that I would not have been able to get without the studio gigs. so,
Nice.
um, so that's yeah. I mean that I guess refocusing or trying to find more ways to express myself rather than I had put ORCumentary to rest and I was focusing on Virus of Ideals, and since that was like start stop, it was like, well, what am I doing? I'm going nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, just finding other things to keep myself busy.
I respect that, man. Definitely. I mean, like, for me, it's like, it's almost the same deal. I wanted to put together a solo album, and get it out before I turn 40, which thankfully is not for another 7 years. But just getting ideas together and like finding people to work with and stuff. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit, and I'm like, well, there goes that idea for right now. Let me just put that on the back burner and focus my energy on something else. And then this podcast was created. Not only so I could, catch up with friends and everything, but like to also keep the creative juices flowing and talk to my friends, get to know my friends better, put something creative out there and maybe help others because I suffer from depression myself. I've been through therapy plenty of times in my life, more recently 2018 to 2019, because those were very, very tough years for me. And I need creativity. I need creative outlets to stay sane, because if I'm just doing the same motions every day, which is work between two jobs and just complete autopilot mode, I'm going to drive myself nuts, and I'm just going to get super depressed and go down a dark road that I hate going down. So I respect the hell out of you for doing, sticking to your guns and like, keeping up with music and everything, and like reevaluating, like, should I be focusing more on my creativity and less on work and stuff. Like, I wish I could do that, like, but I live alone, so like I got to pay the bills. So obviously the bills come first before a lot of the other stuff that I do on the side. So maybe someday, we'll see. But
well, you can always, at least where you're at right now, you can always do a lot of writing. And if you have like, you don't have to, you don't have to necessarily be in the same room with musicians to like work with them. Like you can, if you just want somebody who's like, all right, let's just say you want to hire me to do piano for you. We could.
I was
just
actually thinking about that. If I do this solo record, if I need some keyboard, I'm definitely hitting you up. So
awesome. But like something, you can Skype easy enough, and it's easy to send files back and forth. And
yep.
Not to bring this back to me, but that was.
Oh, this episode's about you. I'm just here to relate to you. So.
But yeah, going back to I think when I kind of hit that point where I was just really like, I had a bit of a breakdown when I just hit a point where I just was not happy with how my life was going. And what made me I'm still trying to figure out how I could even feasibly do music part-time. But there are a lot of musicians who are on like Patreon and all this stuff, or YouTube or something, where they're making music, it's like, I don't know, like, oh, Sean is creating X, and for every video, I mean, Patreon is.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just, I know that it can be done. It's just really, it takes a lot of creativity and hard work. So I still have a ton of work to do before I can even think about, part-time, but I'm just trying to explore as many options as possible right now.
Oh, cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Like, whenever I like think of something like that just pops in my head or something, I'll either like type it out on my phone and save it in my notes, or write something down when I get home for like future projects and stuff like that. And I've also been focusing my energy not only on this podcast, but I also got a Twitch channel that I do part-time. I'll play with friends and stuff like that. So that also helps my creativity too. But I definitely have ideas and things I want to do for music. And unfortunately, a lot of the guys that I want to work with, a lot of them don't have really nice setups or recording equipment to be able to like work like that, which sucks. But, once things get a little bit easier and calm down a little bit, I think I'm going to try to figure out something and get together with a few guys and try to figure some stuff out. Cause I've already got drummers lined up that want to work with me. I've got guitarists and bass players, got a potential keyboardist. I got plenty of guys that definitely want to help out. And I definitely want to do that. But in the meantime though, I'm just going to keep plugging away and keep working on this and focusing on my health. So try to stay sane. So yeah, so we're talking about music, we're talking about mental illness and everything. You said something earlier that I kind of wanted to dip back a little bit to, about men having more. There's more of a suicidal rate with men in this country than anything, and I fully agree. I lost one of my best friends last year from suicide, and yeah, his 1 year anniversary is coming up too in a couple weeks too, and I was just thinking about him yesterday. And I texted his ex-wife and everything, and was just reminiscing with her for a little bit. But yeah, it sucks, man. It's totally true though too. I mean, like the whole stigma with oh, men got to be tough guys, and like don't be such a baby, don't be so whiny or whatever, like suck it up. Like, no, like we have feelings too. I mean, I have my days where I feel like complete shit. Like I feel like nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like, why do I feel so alone in this world? You know what I mean? And why am I 33 and I'm still single? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It just like weighs on you and stuff. And then you get stuck in your head and you just feel lower and lower and lower and lower. And to the point where like I almost did a couple years ago. I had suicidal thoughts. I almost did, and when I realized I was heading down that road, I called a therapist, and I was seeing a therapist twice a week for about a year. And right around the time I was just finishing up, where I thought I was in a good place, my best friend killed himself. So yeah, that sucked. And you know, if anybody out there that's listening right now, if you're going through stuff, if you're depressed or anything like that, you know, hit up a friend, hit up some family members, talk to a therapist. You can Zoom with a therapist online, you can phone a therapist or whatever. Like, get help. Like, you're not alone. Don't ever feel like you're alone. You're not alone. There are plenty of people out there that you could talk to and get through this, because it's a really tough time right now with the whole pandemic. A lot of people are going crazy staying at home, and I totally understand, but you're not alone in this. So, but I don't know if you have anything you want to add to it, but um,
Um, I mean, well, first off, I'm glad you didn't,
thank you.
ultimately go through with what you were doing. It's hard to take that. It's really hard to admit to yourself that you have a problem,
Mm,
because all you know is what you feel. So to have enough self awareness where you can say, this isn't normal, or I shouldn't be feeling this way, or I don't want to feel this way,
yeah,
and it's scary to take action on thoughts like that, like to get help, there's the whole stigma where admitting you have some kind of weakness, or where you just and it's not even just like a men thing, just mental illness in general. It's not like oh, I broke my arm. It's obviously very different, and it's hard to just to think you can just power through it, but you can't always do that. There was, at my previous job, I was a team lead, and there was a guy on my team. He was, I can't think of what his name is, and it really bugs the hell out of me that I can't think of it. But he was pretty quiet. He's like older guy. He was pretty nice. He was a relatively new hire, um, and he was on my team for like a few months, and then I found out he jumped off a bridge.
Jesus.
And I mean, it's not, I wasn't like close with him, or I wasn't even like friends with him, but I mean, it still really was like wow, I saw him like he just didn't like show up for work for a few days, and I don't remember what the last thing I said to him was, or it's just really sad to think about. Somebody, it's not like he was a complete stranger, but he was like, you know, I don't know. It's hard to verbalize, but it was certainly
They're there
I
one
don't know.
minute, and
Just,
then next minute they're not, and it's just like a shock. You know what I mean? Because you're so used to seeing the
yeah.
person. Yeah, and that's kind of how it was for me with my buddy. I mean, like with me and him, like our relationship, we met through my ex fiance, and after her and I broke up and went our separate ways, I stayed friends with him and his wife, and they didn't stay friends with my ex because they hated my ex. So, but every time like I was going through stuff or whatever, like he would always call me up like at least like 3-4 times a week, like, yo, what are you doing? I got burgers on the grill, I got beer in the fridge, come over. I'm like, I don't know, man. Shut the fuck up and get your ass over here. Bring your laundry too, because I know you don't got a washer and dryer. Just come over. All right. We be
Yeah.
up all night watching horror movies, you know, bullshitting, shooting the shit, whatever. But I mean, like he knew, like every time I had a bad day, like I didn't even have to call him. He would call me and just check in, and I would do the same for him because he had his demons too. And I'd return the favor and stuff like that. But I just remember the last time I saw him, I was it was after him and his wife were separating, and he was going to Arizona to stay with his mother, and I dropped him off at the bus stop, and that was the last time I saw him. And if I'd have known that was the last time I was going to see him, I would have thought of something else to say. You know what I mean? But it's we just, you know, you lose contact with people over the years. You get busy with life and everything. And I'm not trying to use that as an excuse or anything, because I probably should have reached out more to him, and maybe things could have been different. But you know, I got to stop beating myself up over it. You know, so
Yeah, with something like that, there's probably the only one person who could make a difference in, like, maybe, if you got help or something, that would be, because there's always, like, reach out to a family member, reach out to your friends. Obviously, that's good, but they're probably not a trained professional.
Mm.
So they may not know what to do.
Yeah.
So I mean, an objective outsider, it's a lot easier for me to say X, but to move past that and to make peace with that in your own head is a completely different process.
Yeah. It's taken time too to like process too, and just not blame yourself or anything like that. I mean, like, for me to realize that I was heading down a dark road, and that I needed help, I needed to realize that myself. And, I know it's hard for people to admit that they need help sometimes, and it's hard to reach out, but it's never a burden or anything like that, especially when you have people in your life that care about you. So I just wish I could have done something more for my buddy, but it's not, nothing I could do, but I'm sorry, this got really, really dark. So
that's all right. I don't mind.
I appreciate it. I don't get to talk about my buddy a whole lot anymore, and I do miss the hell out of him, and I wish he was still here. But again, people, if you are going through something in life, if you're going through depression and you're afraid to reach out, stop. Just reach out. Okay, like call somebody.
Suicide hotline.
Suicide.
I don't know what the
hotlines.
number is offhand, but Google it.
And there's plenty of websites online too that have therapists ready to go. You know what I mean, and people you could talk to. So just take up, one of those services, or call a friend or whatever. You know what I mean? Exercise too. That helps me. Helps me battle depression a lot. I go for hikes like all the time now. I fucking love it. I don't know. What do you do to help with that kind of stuff? Like besides music, do you do anything to like kick the depression and anxiety?
I wish I could say exercise. I was going to the gym for a while. I was pretty okay about it, but I'm not sure if I want to go back to my gym now that they're open again.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
I guess there's, listening to music or just playing video games or something. I don't really write when I'm feeling like depressed or anything. I just write at really weird times. So it's more like, yeah, I guess it's more just, I don't know. I guess it would just be, listening to music or playing video games, or just something that's just can just kind of suck me out of where I am.
So what kind of video games do you play?
So I was a Nintendo kid growing up.
All right.
So I had a GameCube will always have a special place in my heart. But I haven't played Nintendo systems in a while. The last one I played, I think was Wii, and that was actually my girlfriend, now wife. I never had a Wii, but she had one, and we played that. I have a PS4, so that is really like the games I've been playing. Well, first off, so I think my favorite games of all time are Mass Effect.
Oh, dude. Yes.
I love Mass Effect. Even Andromeda. I loved Andromeda. I know it got a lot of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a discussion for another time. We can talk about that.
Well, just real quick, you know that they're remastering Mass Effect 1 through 3, and it's coming out this fall, right?
I've heard plenty of rumors.
Oh, no, it's true. It's confirmed. It's coming out sometime this fall.
Yeah, I've been following all that, but I haven't seen any pre-order links yet, so nothing is certain until then.
Well,
but
I would love to fucking play those.
I hope that they do like Final Fantasy VII, how that looks like they just completely stripped that game down and rebuilt it.
Yeah.
Like I hope they do something like that rather than just make the graphics better, because especially
I think it's going to be the graphics. Yeah.
Well, Mass Effect 1 is really dated, so I hope they do something about that one.
Mass Effect 2 is honestly the better one out of the series.
Yeah, whenever I play it, I just play through all three games. Like I just treat them as one game. So it's hard for me to separate them, I suppose. Obviously the first one was my least favorite. But
yeah.
I
I
don't know.
hate
It's
I
kind of like
hate
picking a favorite.
I hated the
Was that?
Mako. I hated that Jeep thing, the Mako or whatever it was fucking called. Like,
Oh yeah,
I fucking
yeah.
hated that thing.
That wasn't very good. Yeah.
Oh
What
god,
else?
that thing drove me nuts.
Um,
Have you played the Spider-Man game for PS4?
no, I've heard good things about it.
It's really good.
I
Really good.
have to. It's on my list. I
Yeah.
have. I'm currently playing through Horizon Zero Dawn again.
Nice.
Doing like those are the kind of games I really like, where it's like it doesn't have to be like incredibly open world, but with like a really good story.
Mm.
And like before that, I played Uncharted 4. I think I did God of War. Oh no, I did The Last of Us Part 2. That's what I did before
Oh, how
Horizon Zero
was it?
Dawn. It was such a trip. I don't even know if I can say I liked it. And what
It's
I
got
mean by
mixed
that
reviews.
is
Yeah.
because it's it's like when you see a movie and the movie is really well made, but it just destroys you and you never want to watch it again.
Yep.
That's what this game is. It's it might be better to describe it as like the equivalent of an art film almost. Maybe not an
Gotcha.
art film, but it's I mean, it was a very well made game, but some of the plot twists and the way they decided to do certain things were. Have you played it?
Nah.
Okay, I mean, it's definitely a trip, and it's very like violent and I'm not saying like, oh, you don't like violent video games. It's like,
Yeah.
no, but it's different. It's very. The theme of the game is like the cycle of revenge. Like the cycle of violence and all that, and the way that certain characters are just kind of like they die and then that's kind of it.
Mm.
Like when you watch a movie and they're like running away from somebody and one of the main characters just kind of dies,
Yeah.
but they can't stop anymore and they have to just keep running. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like that in
Very
that
cool.
game, and
I'll
yeah, I mean,
have to watch a let's play of it or something because I don't have it. One, I don't because I don't own it, and two, I'm such a wuss when it comes to horror games. Like I'm the biggest horror nut. Like I love horror movies. Like I'll never get like freaked out or anything from a horror movie. Like I might be like, oh, fuck, but I'm mainly laughing the whole time because like it just doesn't
yeah,
bother me. But if you put a horror game in, like Resident Evil or anything like that, where I have full control over this shit, my anxiety goes through the fucking roof. Like I can't handle it. You know what I mean? So,
I know the feeling. That's that made me think of Dead Space. That's a game I'd love to see them port for the current gen or next gen systems. Um, I know the first one had a lot more jump scares,
mm,
but it was the thing. It's like it's one thing to watch a movie and get a jump scare, but when you almost don't even want to try to go into the other room because what if this thing jumps out at you and like tears you
exactly,
in half? You
exactly.
know,
I can't deal with it. Like I got enough stress and anxiety in my life already. I don't
yeah,
need any more. You know what I mean? I'll watch a let's
like
play of it. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't bother
yeah,
me. But I'll watch somebody else fucking
yeah,
scream at the top of their lungs.
yeah,
Oh man, I like I said, I stream too. So I've got an Xbox, I got a PS4, and I got a Switch. I was doing Animal Crossing for a little while.
yeah.
I kind of fell off that, but I can't wait to see what my island looks like because it's been about a month since I played that game. Um,
It's probably overrun by I don't know what are the bad guys in Animal Crossing. I don't even know.
Not Tom Nook. He basically is. You know, it's basically a debt collector. Living in America kind of thing. Like buy a house and you're in
Yeah.
debt for the rest of your life. Um, but yeah, I just beat Final Fantasy VII Part 1 finally, and
Part one.
Part 1, yes,
Wait,
because
was the game that just came out, the $60 game, that is part one?
that's Part 1.
Wow.
Yep.
They're really
They
milking
base
it, but people love it.
Well, they basically extended the whole story of what took place within that city, and which I guess in the original game, because I never played the original game, I didn't own a PlayStation back in the day, and I guess like the whole part that took place in the city only took like a couple hours. Like the whole thing inside the city in this game was like 40 hours. And that includes like side quests and everything like that. But now at the end of the game, you're outside of the city, and it says to be continued. And I just saw that they finally entered full development for part 2 of it. So because they were kind of held up from COVID, so I'm looking forward to it. The fucking graphics are amazing. The story was fucking awesome. You know, coming from someone that never played the original, and there's some of my friends that played the original, and they're like, oh, you know, there were some nods to the original, but like I wasn't really crazy about it. But like coming from me, I was like, yo, this game was fucking awesome. Like battle mechanics were, you know, decent. I mean, like the only thing that drove me nuts were the camera angles, but I mean, other than that, I had a blast playing this game. I might actually go through it again. Definitely check that out. It was really good. But yeah, we're talking a lot about video games.
I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
I don't mind either. I was just like, oh, yeah, look at the time. So let's talk about, let's talk about your new track. The Time of the Orc Has Come. You just released a song and a lyric video. That lyric video is pretty badass, dude. Who does your artwork?
So like the new logo and the artwork, that was done by Chatter Skull Art, but for the video, that was done by JKL Productions. I highly recommend them to any band, really. You know, like the lyric video I did, if you watch that video, it looks like high quality as hell.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was very, very affordable. I'm just gonna say that. But so they did the lyric video for that.
Very cool, very cool. So, so for people that have never listened to ORCumentary before, and you want to entice people to check out this track, what is the song about?
So first off, ORCumentary is for you if you wish the bad guys won in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Let's just put it that way. The quickest way it can sum up
meat is back on the table, boys.
Or or the quickest way to sum up what ORCumentary is about. It's very different from past ORCumentary songs. So the old recordings were very like raw and unpolished, and it was good for live performance, but it put a lot of people off who were discovering it online. Like I did a PR campaign for the last album, Destroy the Dwarves, and I got more of a mixed response than I was hoping for, and that was pretty demoralizing. But I have a lot more. I actually have a proper recording setup now. I have a lot more knowledge of it, and this whole thing, all the instrumentals were done on my keyboard. It's all. So this song is it's basically like if you think of like Lord of the Rings, like the Mordor music, like the blaring brass and the banging percussion and everything, and then you think of like an orc singing over that. So it's really it's very cinematic in a way, in a literal way. You know, I almost wasn't sure it was going to work until I went in the studio to record the vocals, because my plan originally was to have a guitarist and a bassist record for me, like, you know, record parts, because I'm working on an EP, and the EP is actually going to be all in that style. It's going to be all the symphonic style. I was originally going to have, like, you know, a guitarist and a bassist. You know, it was going to be some re-recorded old songs along with a couple new songs, but things just didn't really work out. You know, I really just needed something musically that I had 100% control over. So that's why I decided to take the risk. And I actually wrote this song before I made that decision. So it was already a symphonic song. Like, it was actually my first attempt at trying to write something in that style. So, in terms of, I guess, what it's about, I'm giving a very long-winded answer, so I apologize to anybody who's bored.
I just love the whole foaming of the foaming beer part. I was fucking dying when that popped up. I was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So the ORCumentary songs, they follow an overarching story. So it basically follows, you know, my character ORCAdams, who is trying to conquer the elves, dwarves, goblins, all that shit. And this song is meant to bridge the gap between the last album and the next album. So the next album is going to pick up where the story left off. So this song is kind of it's almost it's a reintroduction, and yeah, it's basically a reintroduction in a way.
Very cool. Oh, I almost forgot. You did your own Super Bowl halftime show of like a few years back. And what was it on, Loudwire or Blabbermouth or one of those sites or whatever? Which I saw.
Yeah,
I was like, holy shit.
I did a second one, but that one didn't get any news coverage. But the first one, yeah, that was it was Metal Sucks. It was, I think it was Loudwire, or maybe it was Metal Injection. It was one of those.
Yeah,
but either way, it got a lot of attention, but it didn't really translate into any more merch sales or Facebook fans. I think I got like 100 new Facebook fans, but that's like nothing.
Yeah,
so
it really is.
But that was a lot of fun. Because the band practices in my basement, so I have all the gear in my basement. So I figured, I'm trying to think of where I got the idea from. Oh, you know what it was? I think it was somebody was doing a Super Bowl party, and like there was somebody I know who was going to go, and this person, was myself. I didn't actually tell him, but I was thinking, oh, you should play during the halftime show, at this person's party. And then that made me think, like, what if ORCumentary did a halftime show? Like, live, that just started the wheels turning. And I only had that idea, I think, a week before the Super Bowl, so I didn't really have time to hype it up or anything. I wasn't expecting it to get any coverage at all. I think like 40 people tuned in, which was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, to get the crazy amount of feedback, it was pretty wild.
I watched some of it, and I'm like, I was laughing so goddamn hard. I was like, yo, fucking Sean is hilarious and awesome, and it was so great.
It's so much fun.
Is it online somewhere, or?
It's still on the Facebook page.
Okay.
I think it's also on my YouTube page.
Okay. All right, so definitely, listeners, check it out. ORCumentary on Facebook and YouTube. Check out that video. It was fucking great. It's just Sean in his basement, just playing his keyboards and doing ORCumentary during halftime. It was so fucking great. Anything else you want to add to that? I'm sorry I cut you off.
I don't know if I had anything else to add, but it was.
I put that in my notes. I was like, don't forget to mention the halftime show, because that shit was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what do you got for future plans? Like, once things calm down a little bit, like you're working on a new EP for ORCumentary. I saw on the lyric video today, and you said you're working with more stuff with Virus of Ideals down the road. Do you have anything else in the pipeline?
Nothing specific. I've been trying to do more things like vocal covers or keyboard, just more like fun things to just keep putting myself out there that don't require as much work as writing and releasing music. So I'm just trying to pick up more studio work. I'm hoping to release that ORCumentary EP before the end of the year. That's going to be like I said, it's going to be in the same style, pretty different from before. Fully. So the title of the EP, I came up with this pun like 12 years ago, and I'm glad that I'm finally able to use it. So it's called Fully Orchestrated. Like orchestral. So.
Oh my god. That's good. Nice.
So it'll be good. They're gonna have that song.
Mm.
There's gonna be a few orchestrated old songs, and then I have a surprise cover that I'm working on as well.
Nice.
So it'll be a very interesting release.
Very cool.
But aside from that, just that Virus of Ideals stuff, and just generally trying to see what I can do as a solo musician, vocal covers, doing studio work, whatever, wherever the wind takes me, in a sense.
Well, very cool. I'm looking forward to all of it, man. Like you're so talented. You're such a great guy, and I definitely thank you again for joining me on this podcast today and taking time to talk about your stuff and everything, and being so open about stuff that you're going through and during the pandemic and everything. Is there anything you want to plug before we get going here?
Well, first, yeah, thanks again for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I always like talking about this kind of stuff. I believe we may have talked a few years ago on a podcast, on a different podcast.
Was it the League podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was, but yeah, I mean, it's, it was nice, talking and getting to know you a bit better. But as far as plugging things, yeah, guys, just check out the new ORCumentary single. Keep on the ORCumentary and Virus of Ideals socials. If you're a studio, or if you are in a band, or if you are a musician who needs some studio keyboard work, piano work, even songwriting, arranging, just hit me up. My rates are pretty good, I like to think. And yeah, I think that's all I got.
Awesome. Well, yes. I'll leave links below for people to check out your projects and everything, and to hit you up if they need any studio work or anything like that. As for me, you guys can hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that bell icon, get notified every time we drop a new video. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled podcast. You can subscribe to us on Spotify, on Apple, on Google, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. We're pretty much on all the major podcast networks. If you guys have questions, comments, stories, or anything like that, email us, roadswe've-traveled-podcast@gmail.com. I will be sure to read them on the air. Let me know how you guys are doing during this pandemic. If you got any tips or tricks, or if you're ways of dealing with stress or depression or anything like that, I'd love to hear your stories. You can check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/JRBuckleGaming. We have a lot of fun over there. We usually do some Cards Against Humanity or Jackbox party games with friends, some of my friends from the scene. It's a lot of fun. Talk a lot of shit. Yeah, and check out my portfolio at www.allenmpelletierjr.com. Hit me up for commission work if you guys need artwork, video work, lyric videos, whatever you guys need. Hit me up. I would love to work with you. Again, Sean, thank you very, very much for taking the time tonight. I'm sorry I'm all over the place tonight because I'm looking at the clock right now, and I'm like, okay, I got to go to bed in like an hour so I could be up at like 3:30. But thank you again for taking time. And when the new EP drops, I'd love to have you back on. Maybe we could talk some more about the new EP and talk some more about Orcs. Maybe we can geek out a little bit about Lord of the Rings, because I never get to geek out about Lord of the Rings at all.
Oh yeah. Let's definitely do that.
All right.
We'll have some kind of Lord of the Rings themed episode.
Nice.
I haven't actually ranted about Lord of the Rings in a very long time. So to be able to rant about Lord of the Rings would be great.
That was one thing about that was one thing about the League podcast that we didn't get to really talk about much, because I felt like I was the only Lord of the Rings fan, and Scotty was like, "Oh, Bored of the Rings," I'm like, "Man, fuck you, Scotty." All right, but thanks a lot, Sean. I appreciate it, man. You take care.
Yeah, see you later.